Hello everyone, friends. This is Mozart. It's been a while since I recorded any reviews. And I guess you understand why, because not much interesting has been happening. Right now, it seems like there is some movement again. And for the most part, you already know all the trades that I opened, closed, and those that are still open. Bitcoin is currently there, Solana is one of the latest, and so on. I still have Ethereum open there. In general, there were a lot of trades, most of them were profitable. The market has been favorable over the last month. Well, specifically in October, if we talk about it, and it's interesting to see what will happen now. So, yesterday I closed a quarter of my position. I wrote about it in the Telegram channel. And I left 3/4 at a higher take, 73,230. Everything is here. So the first quarter is closed and 3/4 are at the second take. Why there? Because, well, I mentioned this in previous videos as well. We have a specific target based on the closed figure. We have quite a few highs. With short liquidity, where the stops are placed, and overall both channels intersect here. These two channels that you see, the green one and the bluish channel. Well, channel crossing, that's the theory I'm also working with, and it's how I determine take profits in the ATH zone. I can identify them through the channels. However, if the zones are not at all-time highs, I can enter based on them. For example, through these channels, based on the combination of supports from diagonal channels plus levels. Well, for instance, volumes, approximately horizontal volumes, block levels, and so on. Anyway, so, what are our chances and what is the situation? We have elections in America next week. And, considering the odds in the poly market, I think it is known to many of you that this bookmaker will have Trump winning. And, with each passing day, Trump's lead over Harris is increasing. In principle, against this backdrop, as the likelihood of Trump's victory grows, crypto may continue to rise. The risk will probably only arise 1 to 2 days before the elections. That's when it might be possible to close all active positions and set deeper limit orders. In case of high volatility, which will 100% occur on election day and especially during the announcement of the results, God forbid it's not Trump who wins, but, for example, Harris, well, for crypto, God forbid, then it is quite likely that there will be a serious pullback, probably with a similarly quick buyback, but the pullback will be strong. And under this pullback, you can basically set up limit orders, I think. In terms of altcoins, everything that has taken off and everything you didn't manage to buy might catch up at roughly the same levels. But before that, I repeat, Bitcoin might have time to go up, close, and cover all these highs, gathering all this liquidity. Before election day, accordingly, that's why I have them there. Well, if I see any slowdown or something else on the lower time frames, I might close out earlier. The positions are still profitable, and I honestly don't care anymore. I'll either reduce them in parts, or we'll see what happens next. The dominance of Bitcoin is also interesting. It is already at 60%. That's a lot, and it is growing without any pullbacks. It is growing significantly. It seems that we are actually reaching a point where we are growing. For a long time, there has been no pullback, and not once have we tested even the 50th moving average. We haven't even tested the 50 moving average since January 2023 on the weekly time frame. Well, I mean the 50 is annual, you could say, not to mention the 100, let alone the 200 week moving average. Here we are bouncing off the 30 moving average, that red one, and rubbing against the upper Bollinger line. We keep rubbing against it, pushing against it. This has happened in history more than once, and it always ends the same way, whether here or there. In the end, what could this look like, and what are my calculations for this scenario? Well, all this dropped, all these pipes closed since March 21st. Okay, everything is closed. It can correct, for example, how it looks. Bitcoin closes above the mark of 73,500, goes up and down, volatility will shake everyone out, and in the end, it will be bought back again and go into consolidation, to then move on to 83,000 or 90,000, for example. And the alt will start to catapult. That's when the alt season, that both you and I have been waiting for, will finally begin. So, let's say, da-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta and here. Well, okay, not that fast, but conditionally, roughly like this. Even this value, it's like multiples of something. This is roughly the situation, because dominance hasn't been stuck at the upper standard deviation for this long. Well, probably never. Probably, this has never happened in history since 2014. It has been resisting for a very long time. What's next? What else is interesting? One can see in the blockchain the number of coins and profit that have been transferred from cold wallets. But regarding the market trends, the fascinating thing is that short-term holders, if we look here, seem to have taken profits around the peaks during this sideways movement, approximately at the peaks or local peaks. And now, as we can see, we have another wave and another peak. Why shouldn't Bitcoin stop here? Indeed, Bitcoin could stop. 73,500 is an important key level. In fact, another pullback. But, again, we must not forget that this is a sideways market. And in a sideways market, there are certain defined boundaries where each mark corresponds to its own peak. As soon as a new trend begins and the price breaks out of the sideways movement, all these values sharply increase. In other words, there's no need to look far. Here you have it, the end of 23 and the beginning of 24. Accordingly, here's the same thing. We have a certain range, let's say. Here's the sideways movement. Here's the sideways movement. Now the trend has started. Now the trend has started. And here are the new values in the trend. That is, they are 2 to 3 times higher than the previous values. That is, one should not rely solely on the fact that there is currently a local top in the sideways movement, meaning that the sideways movement will stop, and we will turn downwards, heading towards the lower boundary of this range. It is far from certain. That is, one should look at this from the perspective of the long-term and medium-term trend for long-term holders, meaning those who take more measured actions and have a more refined strategy. You can also smooth it out with a 7-day moving average to get rid of all this bad. Well, there you go. Here they had their first spark. Here on this rise, a small spark which is nowhere near the fervor that was present in early March when there was the first attempt at a drop to 73,500. Here it is, that is, several times less. We are not looking here. This is MTGOK messing around. Here was a small capitulation of long-term holders during the drop on August 5th. But overall, this first peak of enthusiasm may indicate that the profits currently available in the market have started to satisfy long-term holders, and here the key word is started. This doesn't mean that she arranged it, they all ran to sell. This is exactly how the trend started, after the consolidation of September-October 2023. Last year, right here. Here is the first one, the desired amount that long-term holders did not receive, and then they went off to jump around. Here, the ETF was approved, news was sold. And a significant mark was simply fixed here. That's it. How does this differ? So this, in fact, this jump may just be the first in the entire impulse. From my point of view, I am now leaning more towards the idea that this is indeed how it will be. And so, now, basically, no matter what happens with Bitcoin, it has this upward trend. If we look at the daily chart, it has always been debatable over the last month, but on the weekly chart, it has been consistently upward. I've mentioned this many times. Now, even on the daily chart, it has become upward. To be honest, let's take a look at the order blocks. We have 2 order blocks of large players. In short, everything above the mark of 60, well, okay, $61,000 to $63,000 in that range. Including this range, all of this is good entry points for going long, for re-entering long positions. Well, if there is a correction, pullbacks, strong volatility during the elections, and so on. This is my strategy right now. Of course, I need to see what else it shows in the indicators, and how it behaves. Because the strength of the temporary situation is still small. To be honest, there is currently no strength in the temporary situation, and if it suddenly shoots up to 73,500 or even 75, then we will rewrite this high, there won't be any divergences, and that will confirm the beginning of a new bullish impulse. Because for now, all of this doesn't look too strong yet, although obviously it is already at the upper limits of our range. The same goes for magnesium, so entering a long position from the current levels, if you didn't join me at 67,500, is already very questionable. It's highly debatable, considering that they might even draw a divergence on the daily chart, even with a deeper correction, and, for example, with a retest of 67,000, somewhere around there. It could also be. Keep that in mind. But I would recommend buying on pullbacks. In any case, I will still provide positions when I close this one. I'm saying this now for those who are without positions. Well, globally my thoughts remain unchanged. It's still the same. I have a target for Bitcoin. Here's the weekly time frame. I drew this quite a while ago, and many times targets for Bitcoin. Well, here they are. As they were there, so they remain. The range is $80,000 to $85,000 and up to the marks of $90,000 to $92,000 with a buffer of $110,000. This cycle looks like this for me. Whether it will go higher, I don't know, but for me, this will be enough. As for medium-term goals, this is where everything is still looking. I already said that Bitcoin needs to stabilize above the mark of $73,500. Once it goes above that, then a strong wave of altcoins will begin. Very strong. And everything I was accumulating there regarding investments, medium-term strategies, and so on will take off. Basically, it will shoot off into space. Well, at least regarding the entry points, if something is at a loss. And then a decision can be made. Should I break even or wait? I plan to take profits from what I have already accumulated, plus new coins when everything takes off. Moreover, I believe that. To be honest, all of this will take off regardless of who becomes president, Trump or Harris. It's just that under Harris, it won't take off as vigorously and as quickly as it would under Trump. And the result will be the same in any case, in my opinion. That's it. So, to summarize, we can say that the bullish trend has shifted from the weekly chart to the daily chart. The buy points are good all the way up to the range of 67 to 68. Even if you look purely at the weekly chart, some order block at 62 to 64, all are good buy points. Conditionally, even up to this low. Although this zone should hold now, all this growth, and we are waiting for altcoins to follow Bitcoin when they take off. All other trades will be conducted in the Telegram channel. I remind you that the link to it is in the description below this video. Thank you all. This was Mozart, and goodbye everyone.